64. Limburgen through the inner belt is heavy. If you're on westbound 44, it's a little slow around the Cleat Station. Southbound 141, south of Big Bend into Valley Park and south of the Bluffs down to Romaine Creek, you're pretty busy. Southbound 55 Arsenal through Bates, you've got the usual delays. Next update at 5:20 from the michaelsflooringoutlet.com traffic center.
From now on, if you spring a leak, need a water heater, or have hard water,
thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, Plumbing, and Electrical.
Jerry Kelly will fix the leak, install the thing, and make that hard water easy. From the company who's got your whole home covered.
JerryKelly.com.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
Welcome into Tuesday on the Redbird Rush Hour. Matt Pauley is at the ballpark. We got pregame starting up in about 45 minutes. We'll be done at 5:45. Pregame is at 5:50. First pitch 6:45 tonight for the Cardinals and the A's. In the meantime, Matt, we got a lot to do, and really interesting stuff to me from hitting coach Brant Brown, who was on the Gas House Gang today with Ollie Marmol. So Tuesdays at noon, Ollie joins the Gas House Gang every week, takes questions from everybody that wants to ask them. From our guys, from Bernie, Tom, and Ranj, to the people that are just joining on the chat, and they kind of cover a lot of ground. Today, Brant Brown was the guest star along with Ollie, and I got to be honest with you, Matt, I thought today's stuff with Brant Brown was pretty revealing and very interesting.
I did too. I really enjoyed the conversation. I kind of put together the cuts that we run during this show, and I did not go into it saying, okay, we're only going to run Brant Brown and not run anything from Ollie, but that's what we're going to do because Brown was really, really interesting on what he had to say today.
I thought so, too. And look, part of this will cover Jordan Walker, which is a topic you and I talked about last night. And it's interesting to hear his comments in light of what we talked about. And we can repeat a little bit of what we talked about to provide context when we get to that point. And there was also an interesting comment there, or an interesting answer to Bernie's question about why the team struggles with high velocity. So those are the things that are coming up. But I wanted to get to the first clip that you picked out, Matt, because I think this one kind of sets the table really well for the conversation. And it's just kind of talking about the balance of preparing for each day's opponent and kind of weaving that in with your own strengths and weaknesses and how you kind of go about playing to those.
Yeah, I really find this very interesting, just the idea of when do you play to your strengths and when do you play to your opponent's weaknesses is basically, which one of those two things do you choose? And Brown got into that a little bit today about some days you really got to focus in on what the pitcher's going to give you, and other days you're able to go a little bit more full bore.
Points that we could get better on is I call our hitters a bunch of flat earthers because they only believe in one half of the field because of what data says. And I don't disagree with that. I know why the data says what it says. I mean, obviously, a hitter decells later when he's pulling the ball. The ball's hit more out in front, so obviously, it's going to have a little bit more heat on it. The pull side corners, a shorter distance. But not every night are we able to do that versus a pitcher. And we've had plenty of nights where we have that plan in place. But I just wish that as a group, we would understand, okay, tonight, this is the weapon that we have to beat this pitcher with. And then tomorrow, we can have more fun. But today, we're going to have to do this. And that's just something that we continue to grind with, even on the individual level, because we've ran into some difficulty with those crisscross guys that we're going to have to use the whole field, and it just shows itself in the game.
It's really interesting. And so... And I think if you're an old school baseball fan, you should like that answer.
Yeah.
And I'm mixed on the answer itself because I do think that, well, no, I'm not mixed. What he's saying is you've got to pick your spots to do damage. That's essentially, if I'm paraphrasing what he said there. You cannot have the same approach against Luis Morales throwing 97 to 99 as you do against... I don't know, Shota Imanaga, who's a totally different guy, right? Who's more like 91, 92, but it gets on you and it's weird looking. Yeah. Really every guy's a little different. And you play that within your own strengths and weaknesses, right? So if you're a guy that kills velo, well, then maybe Morales is the guy that you're going to try to go to work on. But if you're a guy that struggles with velo, which this team does, probably not the right approach. I thought that was a really kind of interesting thing. And, Matt, it's obviously that's not a compliment to the group of hitters. And it also certainly doesn't cover everyone, right? I mean, like, Brendan Donovan is not covered in those comments because Brendan Donovan does the things that Brant Brown's talking about. But I think that's a lot of the younger hitters and the in-between hitters, and maybe even a guy like Contreras, who does a lot of damage but also strikes out a lot. And when you look at his bat speed and his ability to generate power and compare that to the end result, which is good but not great numbers, maybe there's something to all that.
Yeah, I also think it helps explain the team looks great one day, team looks terrible the next day from an offensive standpoint, because it is the team reacting and is the team preparing for the starting pitcher the way that they need to. And again, I think that's really interesting stuff, just the idea that you really got to look at who's pitching and then put together an individualized game plan for every single player. Right,
and so I've had people ask, does this mean, that you need to play more to the pitcher's strengths than to your own? No, it's actually the combination of the two. You take your knowledge of yourself and you compare that to what the pitcher does well or doesn't do well, and then you formulate your plan on the balance of those two things. And what I'm hearing here is a hitting coach describing the entire hitting group, not just one or two guys, although, again, probably some exceptions in there. Like, I would say Donovan's probably an exception just given how he hits. He's hitting the way that Brown is talking about wanting the team to do it. I see a lot of guys, or I'm hearing a message that is, we need to essentially take our strengths, but then take what the pitcher gives us, as opposed to doing the same thing day in and day out. And it sure looks like a bunch of these guys do the same thing no matter who's pitching.
And it seems like a very basic thing.
It is.
Yeah.
That's the concerning part. Like, that is a basic thing. And kind of building off of that, Matt, let's combine that one with his thoughts on Jordan Walker today, too, because I think it's a very similar theme to what we just heard him there, talking about the whole group. But then he got a little more specific because Bernie asked him specifically about Jordan Walker. And I thought his answer there was, well, I mean, I'll be honest. I think it's kind of damning, but we'll let the clip play for itself.
And just real quick before we play the clip, he talked about Jordan, then he talked about the group, and then he talked about Jordan again.
Yeah.
I've cut the clip to get rid of the middle stuff, so just from like a journalistic integrity standpoint.
Edited for clarity.
This is edited a little bit, and you can go back and say I didn't change any of the content of it.
No.
I just got rid of the part where he wasn't talking about Walker specifically. So, yeah, this is him on what Walker needs to do.
On his daily structure level, is at some point in time he's going to have to devote kind of more focus on preparation. We've had long conversations with this. Is not only looking at film on the starter, but also being able to come in and the first day of a series, just take a look at all the bullpen guys, all the information and videos available, just so we're not getting snuck up on when a guy comes in. And I think the one thing with Walk is we've kind of played a massive game of tennis going back and forth with what he feels like he needs to do versus what he really needs to do. And until, we can get a full commitment out of him to just say, all right, this is where I'm at. If I'm looking at the numbers, it's not the best. But for me, there's a really easy way out. He might have to be a little bit more uncomfortable to be able to achieve what we wanted to achieve.
Yeah, I don't like that really at all. And by the way, I'm not saying I don't like the answer. I think it's a great answer, and I think it explains a lot of what we're seeing. But I think that's a damning statement when the hitting coach is willing to say on the radio with the manager there, the two of them there, and he's saying this young hitter needs to prepare better and understand that preparation is a bigger deal. I mean, Jordan Walker has almost 1,000 plate appearances in the major leagues. I know he's 23. But if you have 1,000 plate appearances in the major leagues, you shouldn't have to have a hitting coach up your butt about preparation. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and All right, so this is a pitcher. This isn't a hitter, but I think you'll see where I'm going with. I've talked to Andre Granillo a little bit recently, and I asked him one time, what's the thing that you noticed when you got to the big leagues? And he's like, man, I look around and I look at all the other dudes. I thought I prepared a lot before. Now I know what preparation is.
Yeah,
because I see what Phil Maton is doing and what this guy is doing, what this guy is doing. So, yeah, that's pitching versus hitting. But I think...
Same idea, though.
Yeah. If you're Jordan Walker, you're in the clubhouse. You're watching Brendan Donovan. You're watching Alec Burleson. You're
Nolan Arenado.
Yeah. You're watching these guys who we know for a fact do everything that Brant Brown just said. And if we're to believe what Brown said, and there's no reason not to, it feels like Walker doesn't do the same thing.
Well, and it certainly isn't just him, because if you combine that with the earlier clip and trying to get these same messages through to other guys, it's more than one guy. It's more than just Walker. But when we specifically, you and I specifically spoke about Walker yesterday, and I went a little. I'm not going to do the rant, but I went on a little rant about people. Think like the team's messing him up. No, they're not. No, they're not. His swing is the same as it's always been. It's got the same characteristics. He's slightly changed his stance over the course of the last couple of years. He's moved up in the box, all these things to try to combat what he doesn't do well. But the main thing he doesn't do well is he can't tell the difference between a ball and a strike. And now we combine that. That's evidence. That's what we see. That is measurable. And then we combine that with the hitting coach saying he's not preparing enough. That's what he's saying. That's not me interpreting. He literally said he needs to be more, he has to get in more into preparation. That's a bad sign. 1,000 at-bats, 1,000 plate appearances into a major league career, that's a bad sign, and that needs to change. Or he's not going to be anything close to what people thought he was going to be, what I thought he was going to be. I still think he has the ability to be an all-star hitter.
Yeah.
But not if preparation is an issue.
I'm trying to figure out a better word. I'm just saying, what a waste of the beginning of a major league career.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think mistakes have been made with him.
Yeah.
With the organization early on developmentally, they probably put him in the big leagues too soon. They didn't transition him to the outfield soon enough. I think there are a lot of mistakes made. And actually, I'm going to use that as the tease, Matt, for our next clip that we're going to play in the next segment, because the next clip is a bigger picture conversation from Brant Brown, too, that ties all of these together, I think. And it sounds like a frustration with how hitting was being taught before he arrived. Because this is Brant Brown's first year. We're going to play that clip and dive into it coming up next. It's Matt Pauley and Kevin Wheeler with you here on the Redbird Rush Hour.
In the fight against Alzheimer's, now matters more than ever, because now we have new treatments that could change everything. This is Megan Lynch. Join me Saturday, October 25th at the Chesterfield Amphitheater for the St. Louis Walk to End Alzheimer's. It's the region's largest fundraiser to fight dementia and support those living with the disease, because now is the time for action. You can join in the fight by registering for the walk at alz.org/walk. That's alz.org/walk.
Thank you, St. Louis, for making Genesis of St. Charles the #1 Genesis dealer in Missouri for 2025. We know your time is valuable. That's why every purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary Genesis service valet within 125 miles. We're closer than you think. That means complimentary vehicle pickup and delivery, plus a loaner vehicle at no additional cost. Or want something new? We'll bring the test drive to you. Visit genesisofstcharles.com today. Based on GMA sales records for 2024. See dealer for details.
Your home equity could vanish almost overnight, stolen by scammers who forge a deed and transfer it out of your name. The FBI calls it house stealing, and the worst part is you may not know it until it's too late. Find out if you're already a victim now at HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code RADIO for a 30-day free trial, a title scan, and access to a title specialist, a $250 value. Go to HomeTitleLock.com now. Promo code RADIO.
Millions are choosing NordVPN to stay safer online. Get NordVPN today with 77% off and up to 3 months extra. NordVPN will encrypt your online traffic and help you avoid phishing, scams, and malware. Get the special NordVPN deal today at NordVPN.com. This offer includes a 77% discount on a 2-year plan and up to 3 extra months. Savings and additional terms apply and can be found on NordVPN.com. The offer is valid until October 15th.
This
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, still busy highways. This traffic reports the service of the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. Westbound 370 west of the Mills out to the Discovery Bridge. Roadwork delays there. Westbound Highway 70, 94, most of the way to Cave Springs is off the pace. South 270, you're backed up approaching Olive all the way through Manchester. Slow down to almost Big Bend, and then you're in the clear. Southbound 170 is bumper to bumper solid from Delmar to 64. Eastbound 64 backs up east of Lindbergh through to Big Bend. They recently cleared a crash there. Westbound 64 from Kings Highway out through McCausland. It's kind of slow from Lindbergh to Spady. Clarkson most of the way to the Boone Bridge and Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70, kind of heavy. Southbound 55 slow, Gasconade Bates. Southbound 141 backed up south of Big Bend into Valley Park and still near Highview down toward Romaine Creek. Westbound 44 slow between the bridges. Westbound 70 at Adelaide, a crash near Salisbury is where the jam begins. Times are always changing, but Penn Mutual stands the test of time. The 178-year young mutual company is leading the way in life insurance. Ask your independent advisor or go to pennmutual.com/STL. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, Redbird Rush Hour in advance of Cardinals baseball tonight. Matt Pauley is at the ballpark. Pregame coming up at 5:50. We're done at 5:45. First pitch at 6:45 tonight. We're playing back some clips here on the Redbird Rush Hour from the Gas House Gang today. Brant Brown joined Oliver Marmol for his weekly visit with the Gas House Gang, and I think Brant Brown shed a lot of light on a lot of things today. We just talked about the clip about Jordan Walker and about the team's just kind of overall approach to attacking the opponent and kind of fitting that into what they do well. And then this last clip that you picked out, Matt, that I think was really important, and it was maybe my favorite part of his appearance on the Gas House Gang today, was the conversation about why they're struggling to hit velocity, which they are. The numbers show it. As a team, they've been one of the worst in baseball this year against a high velo.
Yeah, it's a long clip, so we may play it about 2 minutes, and then we'll maybe talk about it the other side. But I agree with it. It was worth playing, so I'll stop talking, and this is what he had to say.
We've been telling them this for 2 months. 2 months. And the first time we told them, they argued the data and like, well, are we seeing more sliders with those fastballs? And we said, no, we are seeing more fastballs, and we are not moving them forward. And we talked about, like, how do we get better hitting fastballs? Well, we need to get on the machine. We need to ramp it up. You need to get on time for it. You need to move closer to the machine, pretend there's 2 strikes. You need to try to drive a ball the other way. You need to try to drive a ball up the middle. You need to try to pull a ball. Like, practice things that we are bad at, but practice all the shots and then try to compromise yourself. Like, it's okay to feel bad in training to feel better in the game. And that's one thing that we kind of do in reverse is we'd rather feel good in BP and then suffer in the game, or where I have more of a mentality of like, listen, like, take your licks before the game so the game slows down. The second thing is I just think, as a group, they've had multiple different types of hitting coaches with different types of content. And I feel like at some point, like, I just don't think that our moves are as athletic as our players are. And we can just basically kind of get into a discussion about making our moves a little bit more athletic. I also think that will help us cover fastballs because some of our guys have poor direction. Some of our guys, once again, they're just going to sell out to it. Some of our guys don't know how to hit ride heaters. We talk about keeping our hands inside and above. So it's gonna be chipping away and just trying to provide them with information and, either pushing them or shoving them in the right direction. But it's, to me, I get frustrated, but at the end of the day, I understand that the only thing that I can do as a coach is to try to educate them, try to teach them, and hopefully at some point they'll listen.
I mean, it's such a great clip there. And you heard Ollie laughing in the background there when he's talking about shoving them. So what I'm getting out of all of this, and that's an important clip because, when he's talking about being more athletic, I mean, just picture it. It's being loose in your movements, right? When you think about how someone moves, when you think of an athlete, you think of a guy like Michael Jordan. You think of a guy like Mookie Betts, right? And what we see a little bit more of is guys that are mechanical. They're stiff. They're kind of one step at a time, one piece at a time, as opposed to fluid movements. And Brant Brown wants the guys to be athletes in the batter's box, which is a common thing in teaching hitting. But yeah, the lack of willingness to work on velo from the hitters as a whole is super disturbing. As he's sitting there saying, we've been on them for months about this, and Ollie's laughing about it. I hear a manager and a hitting coach that feel like they're talking to a wall, and now they're saying it publicly because they've been saying it privately for months, and it's not getting through.
Yeah, the practice thing is interesting because we don't talk about, I'm not trying to go all Allen Iverson here, but we don't talk about practice when it comes to baseball very much.
Talk about practice.
And there was that one game where it was against Pittsburgh. It was the Bubba Chandler game.
Yeah.
And where they just faced a bunch of guys with high velocity and they had no shot.
Nope.
And after that game, that's when Ollie really talked about struggling with velocity, and he started talking about practice more and practice to a point where you're not comfortable. And then we heard that completely repeated by Brant Brown, and it seems to be a message that's trying to be sent right now.
Yeah, and the message is you guys need to work harder. I think that's probably directed more toward the younger hitters than the guys that are a little bit more veteran, just because the guys that are a little more veteran have had success. They do have an idea of what they need to do to be successful. And some of those guys aren't in the lineup right now, right? I mean, I doubt that's directed at Burley, for example. I think he does a lot of those things. Yeah. Anyway, really interesting stuff. We'll follow up on all that coming up after the news. We got more hitting talk. Yep, it's Hitting Central on the Redbird Rush Hour here on KMOX.
Tom Ackerman here for Busey Bank and Building Community. We honor the St. Louis Kaplan Feldman Holocaust Museum for using the history and lessons of the Holocaust to reject hatred, promote understanding, and inspire change. Visitors to the museum are empowered to translate the history of the Holocaust into meaningful action to make our community stronger. Visit the St. Louis Kaplan Feldman Holocaust Museum in person and online at stlholocaustmuseum.org.
This is Pat Buring, Executive Vice President of Busey. Building Community is creating bridges that bring people together. A visit to the St. Louis Kaplan Feldman Holocaust Museum reminds us that by rejecting hatred and embracing understanding, everyone feels safe, valued, and connected. A community where everyone thrives is what Building Community is all about. Join Busey. Get involved as we continue building the communities we call home.
As a member of Quiver River Electric Cooperative, you're more than just a customer. You're part of something special. Our co-op is owned by you, the community, meaning your voice matters. We exist to provide a service to you. Together with cooperatives like ours across the state and country, we're working to strengthen our grid, innovate with new technologies, and share valuable knowledge to build a stronger, more sustainable future for everyone. That's the cooperative difference. Quiver River Electric Cooperative, powering our communities together.
Fairwinds River's Edge is more than a place to live, it's a place to belong. Come see why we have been voted Best Independent Senior Living Community for 4 years in a row by U.S. News & World Report. We think you'll like it here, and the experts agree. Come see us for yourself. Call to schedule a tour with lunch or to RSVP for our senior prom on September 24th with live entertainment by the Backstreet Cruisers. Find us online at fairwindsriversedge.com.
That baby's gone! Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your home of the Cardinals.
That ball was mashed.
And there are more ways to watch this season.
Holy cow!
Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream the Cardinals without blackouts.
How about that play?
Or watch through a TV provider.
Incredible!
Including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more.
He got it!
Learn more at cardinals.com/TV.
Ball game! It couldn't have worked out any better for the Cardinals.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
5:31, and right now it's sunny and 80 downtown at the Arch. President Trump has been hinting at it for days, but makes it clear today he plans to send the National Guard to Chicago, but did not give a specific date. CBS News Justice reporter Jake Rosen says ICE officers will likely be the first to increase their numbers.
There is going to be increased federal immigration authorities present in Chicago starting this week. This is just the kicking off point of what they're going to do, what we saw and have continued to see in Los Angeles, what we've seen creep into Washington, D.C. after the federal takeover started. But what this opens the door for is the National Guard to potentially be called in.
In less than a week, the developers of Wildwood Luxury Living should be back before a skeptical city council. The apartments would fill in what's been a grassy lot since the Wildwood Town Center District started opening 2 decades ago. Councilmember Bob Mabry says at first he didn't support the $3 million tax break for the project, but since his colleagues started making demands, he now does.
First time I heard about a little less than $1 million in stuff that the city wanted extra sparkly compared to an Ellisville or a Baldwin or something, wherever they get their other Chapter 100s. I was darn near dead set against supporting anything more than a 5-year plan.
The luxury apartments are already approved to be built. It's the tax breaks in question. More debate is expected next Monday at the next Wildwood City Council meeting. You've been denied coverage for a health care bill. Could artificial intelligence be your best advocate?
Neil Shaw is the founder and chairman of Counterforce Health. He says insurance companies have already been using AI to deny healthcare claims.
The other side is fighting with machine guns, and you're fighting back with a knife.
With funding from the National Institutes of Health, Shaw has created a free online platform that uses AI to craft an appeal letter specific to your case. Shaw boasts it has a 70% success rate so far.
Interestingly enough, there's a lot of cancer patients who are accessing therapies that got denied. I mean, that's like probably one of the most saddest stories that we see, and also one of the biggest positive social impacts, through our work.
Shaw says small medical clinics have also started using the service to help their patients. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Experts say there are thousands of plants just waiting to be identified. The Missouri Botanical Garden is working on a solution. The garden's in the early stages of a 6-year project that uses AI to identify plants by how they reflect light. Curator Matthew Austin tells KMOX it'll help the Botanical Garden coordinate its data with other institutions.
We're collaborating with them to make sure that we collect our spectral reflectance data in similar ways so that, eventually we can integrate data across institutions and develop, one master identification model.
The project is funded through a more than $14 million anonymous donation. Forecast from Dave Murray for tonight, partly cloudy, low 62. For Wednesday, partly sunny. A few showers and storms late in the day with the high of 87. Tomorrow night, 56 and some showers. And Thursday, some sun, cooler northwest wind, high of 75. Right now, it's 80 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter. or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. We can reawaken any space to make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. We are visiting with Dr. Premal Thacker.
And we're very fortunate at Washington University School of Medicine and Siteman to have the only endometrial cancer spore. So we are actually doing a $15 million grant that is housed here under Dr. Much to actually evaluate uterine cancer.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, please visit siteman.wustl.edu.
Dive into adventure this summer at the St. Louis Aquarium's Summer of the Shark. Get face to fin with some of the ocean's most awe-inspiring creatures in shark-themed exhibits, jaw-dropping displays, and interactive experiences for the whole family. Whether you're a fin-tastic fan or just curious, there's hands-on fun and fascinating facts around every corner at the St. Louis Aquarium. Don't miss your chance to make a splash. Plan your visit today at stlouisunionstation.com. That's stlouisunionstation.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Mark Cantor at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I take this very seriously. Mark is a great attorney. He has a great team. He is from St. Louis. He is local. Call 314-628-9999 or visit cantorinjurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
This is the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, it's Redbird Rush Hour. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. We have about 8 minutes, 7 minutes or so before we run out of time, and we'll check traffic here in a couple seconds. But, Matt, we've been playing the Brant Brown clips, and we got some reaction here on the chat. That I figured we could throw a couple of these in there. And so Verlis Gwynn sent us a message that I appreciate Brant being so open. It's refreshing. I could tell you he sounded frustrated.
Yes.
And what I can't tell, and I texted you this before, I can't tell if it's entirely about the players not receiving the message or if the frustration is the result of the players not getting what they needed in player development while they were coming up the ranks in previous years.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this, and not just when it comes to hitting, but I've watched some bad base running here recently, and it feels like some of this stuff should have been cleaned up before they even got here. Now, I understand the world we live in and that guys are getting to the big leagues quicker than they've ever gotten before, and there's guys who are being very successful in the big leagues who've gone to the big leagues pretty quickly. But there is an industry-wide problem when it comes to having players ready for the major leagues by the time they get here, and I think that as much as it's industry-wide, the fact that the Cardinals have skimped in recent years on instruction at the minor league level have made it that much worse with this organization.
Yeah, I think I've been clear about this, and I can do this in 20, 30 seconds. But I think the Cardinals and other teams have a lot of ideas for player development ass backwards. Is they want to make guys comfortable when they first get into pro ball. That's the time to make them uncomfortable. Not when they're reaching the big leagues. Not when they're getting to the major leagues and facing the best pitchers on the planet or facing the best hitters on the planet. The uncomfortable part should be right out of the gate when you're becoming a pro, so you understand. Because most of these are guys, Matt, they don't struggle much before they get drafted. It's why they're drafted where they are, because they don't struggle in high school. They don't struggle in summer ball. They're playing for Team USA. These guys, they succeed a lot. They need to fail earlier before they get to this level. Just my 2 cents.
If they keep doing what they've been doing, it might work at AA. Sometimes it works at AAA. Jordan Walker's a great example of that.
Well, he never played at AAA before he failed in the majors. Not failed, but before his demotion. He didn't really fail here, but he was struggling for a couple of 2 or 3 weeks straight before they sent him down. So, I think that, yes, it's a good point. But what he did at AA, as an example, is he was the biggest, strongest guy out there with elite bat speed. So the pitchers made enough mistakes for him to survive on and to thrive on. They just don't in the major leagues. So your weaknesses then get exposed, which is why you need to suffer when you're in A-ball and not when you get to the big leagues. All right, real quick check of traffic, and we'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Roger Brand is going to tell us what's going on the roadways around St. Louis.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we got trouble downtown. This traffic reports a service at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. There could be 2 separate crashes, but it's in the left lane at both locations. It's westbound 70 between Grand and Adelaide. Westbound 70 left lane shut down, so it's jammed back almost to the Horseshoe Casino downtown on westbound 70. Pretty big backup after that. There's still heavy traffic. 94 out toward Cave Springs. We had an eastbound incident there. Still roadwork delays. Westbound 370 approaching 141. North 270 from Manchester up to Ladue is busy. The right lane stores it most of the way up to 70. Heavy. South 270 still bunches up in a couple of spots from Olive down through Manchester. A little busy south of 44 down to Gravois. Southbound 170 heavy at Ladue. Westbound 64. Science Center at the Clayton Skinkers bumper to bumper. Clayton Warson out through Lindbergh is busy. Then there's a slowdown west of K toward Winghaven and Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70 after that. Southbound 55 just a little busy. Gasconade Bates. And there's some slow traffic down the hill from Butler Hill headed toward Merrimack Bottom. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is your premier provider of fences, decks, patios, sunrooms, and more. Call them for a free estimate today. Now offering 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, chesterfieldfence.com. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
All right, a few more minutes left here. We're going to wrap up at 5:45, and of course that means it's because the pregame starts at 5:50, and the first pitch tonight is 6:45 with the Cardinals and the A's. So I wanted to be clear too, Matt. There's a lot of this that's about Jordan Walker. Like we talked about it yesterday, and it's because he's 23. He's an incredibly physically gifted player, and it doesn't take a whole lot of improvement for him to be a quality big leaguer as a hitter. It just he's got to make better swing decisions on a consistent basis, and if that happens, you'll see a productive player. Now that's an if. That not every guy gets that, and some guys will always struggle with that. But it's more than just him that Brant Brown is talking about. I mean, it's not just like 3 guys, because he's talking about like full hitters meetings and talking about like the group as a whole, maybe to avoid pointing certain people out, but it's definitely more than just 1 or 2 people that are part of this conversation.
Yeah, and if you're struggling, listen to your coach. Like then look, and I think one of the things that, and I'm not saying this specifically about Jordan Walker, but some of these guys do have some other voices in their ears, Kevin. We don't know who the third-party instructor thing is a real thing in Major League Baseball, and it's figuring out how to work through that because sometimes those third parties are really good and sometimes they're not. So the point I'm trying to make is these guys have a lot of different voices coming at them and a lot of different messages coming at them, and it's up to them to pick the right path to go down.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I completely agree with you. There are voices out there that are not going to be helpful, especially when they're speaking a different language than your coaching staff, your current coaching staff. But number one, the guys that determine your playing time and your future are your current coaches and your manager, not your hitting coach from high school. And I say that as somebody who's a hitting coach for guys that are in high school. If I tell my guys this all the time, if your college coach tells you something that you didn't hear from me, listen to your college coach, because he controls your future, not me. Yeah. And I think that, but even with that, the problems that Walker have are not coached by any coach. Nobody's telling him to swing at sliders 6 inches below the plate off the plate, but he does it all the time.
Somebody's telling him to not go all in on. There has to be a reason that he is sticking with what he's doing. Maybe
so mechanically, but certainly nobody's telling him to have that approach. Not one person is like, yeah, swing at everything. Just swing at everything. Nobody's doing that. He's either not capable of it or he doesn't train it, and he needs to train it in the off season so that he'll be able to do it when you get to the regular season. Man, we're out of time. That went really fast. Buddy, have a good pre and a post. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
That's Matt Pauley. We got Cardinals baseball coming up next on KMOX.
Your home equity could vanish almost overnight, stolen by scammers.